Hello, it's Kim. It is October 1st, 2024. Just so we get stuff updated right away. I am back in Laurel for a hot minute. You can see my screen behind me and the tip of my shovel. I'm going on a dig. We rake on a Sunday, because it's at a church, but it's really like an entire week long dig. So I'll be staying in Laurel, for those of you that care. Um, so there you go. I'm using the Waymoon Tarot featuring art from 40 years of Waymoon date books. I don't know about you, but I always had a planner for the longest time that was that way. I needed to get a bigger one, so I switched. But it was my favorite. There were several that were my favorite, but I think I had like five for quite a few years. A nice little booklet. You can see that I have our cards already in here. Um, a lot has happened. I did move into my house. And I did have some negative stuff happen. So um I can't go into it, but like life has not been incredibly easy. But it is looking pretty good. All right. So on the bottom of the deck was one of water. And it's water is life. So this is like the Ace of Cups. So usually it's like the getting, if it's a romance reading, right? It's beginning of a new love. It's the beginning of a new cycle. It could be beginnings, right? And with this is like they very much had it associated with like going back to nature and the earth and protecting the water. And I am gonna read, I've read it for myself, and I think I'm gonna read all of these. They're short, but definitely good. A lot of them, if you get this set, they'll tell you like the moon, they'll tell you the sign, that it's under. It's Pisces, Cardinal, signs that I don't understand or know, and we're always in the books. So that's something fun to like play with. I'm taking a tarot as poetry class, and so I might have to look deeper. So keep saying a lot. I apologize. Or maybe I don't apologize. Maybe it is just a not day. It's kind of gray out. Waterkeeper woman is what she is called. Um, Water is the womb of creation, the source and sustainer of all life. Everything that grows depends on water. We cannot take it for granted, especially now when so much of the living mother is polluted and drying up. Bless Indigenous women water keepers who have always been her guardians. Yes, we are all being called to become water keepers now. Bless each drink of water. Wash your hands, cleanse and purify. Bless your relationships, our healers, caregivers, communities, our emotions, our life energy. Bless and clean abundant flow of our life sustaining source, material and spiritual. Whether this card is reversed or not, and ours is not, look for ways to nurture and protect your natural resources. I want to go to this. I was just talking with a friend about I think it's DACA, right? Um I was very, very politically active with the water keepers, and I I don't think I've ever fought so hard to keep pipelines from going through. Um Certainly not anything. I think that's probably the beginning of my politicalness. I wasn't allowed to be political in my family. Good reasons, but ones that, I just definitely felt kept me from being out there, being politically an activist, being able to do what I love and cherish to do. I am an activist, right? Um, Today, October 1st, um, it looks like war is coming yet again. Yet again. It never ends. So, Israel, Lebanon, Ukraine, United States, Russia, South Korea, whoever. Doesn't matter who. It really doesn't come down to who so much as victims. Everyone is a victim, but everyone is also a perpetrator. So how do you choose? Well, the answer is you choose your neighbor. And what's the best part of that is in most countries and in the United States and some, that neighbor is different than you, other than you, that other that you put aside. Okay. So if you can embrace that other, whoever that other is, then both sides have come a little closer to peace. And like that is energy I feel on the bottom of our deck. I also think that that's probably a first card draw pull, even though it was my final one. Most of these in this deck, it's interesting is that they're not really. They might mention if they're reversed or they're not. I think it's up to the reader, really. As always. But they mention different things that I hadn't associated with, and like instead of like your usual like pentacles, cups, blah blah blah, they had that noted. They're really earth, water, fire, air. I find that intriguing as well. Now, we got this next, the changer and the change, which goes with my message. Yes, air, crone, sage. So I didn't understand what the air, crone, sage was. Of course, crone and sage are the technical terms called technical for the male and female elders, right? So like everyone's like, oh my gosh, the masculine. You don't hear the masculine mentioned very often, like witchcraft, pagan practices, a lot of times. And that's a shame because I know a lot of male witches. And they declare themselves as witches. They don't necessarily go, oh, I'm a wizard. So sage, okay? So it took me a hot moment. It's been a while. And I was like, it's the elder, the king queen. Other one is the matriarch, just so you know that in this deck. So the changer and the change. And I'm reading it upright. We did get it inverted, so take it as you will, okay? Old age, winter, dark north, Gemini, Mercury. Shapeshifter, soothsayer, civil shaman. Take off the mask of personality, the filter of ego. Let go of attachment to your self concept and your conditioned responses. The ancient one asks, what would happen if you let go of your fear of loss, emptiness, death? She offers bold trust as the remedy. What's not to trust about letting go all that you cannot control anyway? Becoming courageously vulnerable opens one to the stream of the divine consciousness, continuously coming from the wisdom of the ages. There is no greater freedom than freedom from fear. I would love that. I try. But then we just have to keep trying, right? Each time and come back to it. When you depart, Goddess enters, void of yourself. The self was with a capital S. Goddess reveals her beauty, dare to meet the crone sage of air within you. Our next one is also air. We got almost, I think, every element. We did not get any cards, so which I even tried. Like I tried after. I did not. Nine of air, prayer flags flying. It's mutable. It's called remembering joy. Oh, the other one was wisdom of the unmasked. I'm sorry, I should be like of the artwork. I should be send prayers of peace out into the world on wings of joy when we need it most. Greet each new day with prayers from your heart. Stretch your arms wide like a bird, spreading her wings. Let your spirit soar. If this card shows up reversed to you, remember that over focusing on negative your energy, contracts your energy and limits your range of positive responses. Now, I stumbled reading this just without the recording as well when I was reading it. So there's something about contracts, native contracts, because I stumble on it every time. So if that applies to you, okay, negative contracts. Um, it contracts and limits your range of positive responses. The sheer expansiveness of joy, opening your heart to connect with yourself and others, transcends the troubles of the world and allows you to cope with difficulty more constructively. And it says number 9 is the synthesis of 3 rounds of creative spin in the air element. Notice how your perspective shifts with this approach to your inquiry. And it says 3 rounds. So that's like almost like 3 cycles you would think of the if you consider these, of the 1 through 10 as cycles or the entire of the core cards as a cycle, then it would be like 3 cycles, it feels like complete revolutions where you go from, the beginning to the middle to the almost to the end. And like that's sort of like how in write with a revision, you write your first set of something and you have a completion. And then you revise it your second, and then you revise again for publication almost. Or you can do a lot of those and then for publication. But that is like my understanding. It's almost of the world. Like we get we're on our third try and we have to keep going, keep putting out those ideas of peace. Go through those Facebook accounts. I've already had 2 deactivated, right? Let's go for a third. That's all we can do. We have to keep our dialogue open. Now, we did have this inverted, so I want to note that. But I think we need it as 2 of air, dialogue upright. Duality, communication. Oh, this is titled If Only Over a Cuppa, When Women Could Set the World to Rights. Duality, communication is a two-way street, expressing different points of view, hearing, and being heard. Sometimes you start in one place, but by talking through it with a close friend, you end up in another place altogether. How engaged are you with the ideas of others involved in the conversation? If this card appears reversed, keep in mind that I'm right, you're wrong is a diatribe, not a dialogue. Consider how open you are truly listening to another person's perspective. How does her story inform where you're coming from? Is there something you need to bring up? Talking it over can help you clarify what is true for you and what is true for another, empowering you both. Let me tell you, I have a friend that I talk to. I mean, like you talk to your friends, right? And like we don't like share like the deepest, but it's pretty profound, everything that I always receive, not always give. At least that's my perception. She has immigrated, she dealt with like everything from famine on into living in war, and her family's had genocide in it. And like she's like a survivor of first generation, genocide. And I'm just like, oh my God, the pain. And how do you keep going? And how do you keep seeing it happen? And I hear the pain in her voice and like how much she wants to change the world. The thing is, she is changing the world. Doesn't give herself credit for it. But it's those dialogues. I don't have that experience. Now, if you look in the family line, yes, I have that experience. Um, like my family like fled from the Holocaust on one side. So I mean, like, yes. I mean, like the illegal immigration. I am really like very close to because my ancestors, the family stories don't say that it was legal. Now, you might not want to tell that to my family, but family history through female tradition says. I think female tradition is probably right. So, it's difficult, right? We have to talk. We have to that her story, right? That female line tradition. what your grandma said. I don't care what gender, non-gender you are, right? What did your grandma say? A lot of it was probably true, whether she had gin and tonic or just a cup of coffee. A lot of it probably resonates now for you. Think about the history of what you know about your family and then how you look at that damn world, right? How do you go and look at the world? How is it different from that person that I already told you you need to like grab the other from? There is a difference, but the difference is I don't want to call it minuscule because that like eradicates the difference, but we need to celebrate the difference, like, understand the difference, come to a mutual understanding. And that is like what we're being called to do. I'm like, I just bought this deck today and like it must be a politically active deck or something. I don't know. Three of fire. Damn it, we got it up right too. Spontaneous combustions. It's called Amazon's high risk. Synergy. Discovering ancient Amazon cultures inspired a generation of young feminist land dykes to create an independent way of life for women by starting women's land communities where we could live together wild and free in nature. Having survived childhood in the conservative post-World War backlash, when women were supposed to get back in the house and not on the horse. I really like that actually. I like that idea. We joined and co-created the liberation movements of the 60s and 70s that changed the world. As we women fighting for everyone's right to be free, we soon learned that the ones who are going to fight for our rights as women, an important lesson still today, are women. What fires up the freedom fighter in you? Mm, truth, truth. Now we need to get this inverted. Okay. It is upright right now. I was gonna say I'm like looking at it. It was pretty sure this is the one that didn't matter, so I didn't put it. Anyway, just okay. It's the eight of Earth, Earth regeneration, and it's Mozambique vanishing rainforest. Okay. It is a fixed. It's fixed signs. It takes a village working together, building community, restoring natural balance. That's what it takes to recreate a healthy, sustainable environment in the wake of mass destruction and systematic injustice. Gone unchecked, these assaults on planetary health would result in the collapse of Earth's life support system. Since 2020, we experienced what that's like as the pandemic overwhelmed life support systems worldwide. Oh, Dan feels off my cousin. So, how are you adapting? In what ways is your life changing with these earth changes? That's a really good question. How are we changing? Are we adapting? Like the whole idea of like evolution would be to adapt so that we could adapt with ourselves. And instead of us adapting, I feel like we try to change what goes around us, like planet, like we use so that we don't have to change in some ways. And that might go beyond like just fossil fuels and all of the rest because I mean like I use a lot of gas. I like I have like land, like some type of rights, oil rights and different things, like so like we all have some tie and financially dependent ties. Understandably financial dependent ties. But even if we go beyond like how we are using the earth to evolve, or if we're using the earth to evolve, or we're using each other to evolve. I think that's a big story too. It's like, yes, the earth is changing, but the problem is that as a collective, people, humans, sort of stay the same. In what ways is your life changing with these earth changes? I know there's a lot of flooding in Appalachia right now. Um, Southern Appalachia is underwater mountains. have flooded. So that is, of course, environmental, right? Yeah. So, in what ways is your life changing with these earth changes? What do you see the growing edge for you? What earth healing work are you doing, envisioning with the joyful extension of your life? Think of the possibilities. I don't know. I'm being called to add one more. And I even don't have like time to pull a card, right? So I don't know why I am pulling two, two cards. You're probably seeing others. Those are not the cards that I take, even if you're seeing them. I have no idea. It was just like this urge. Probably not even gonna read them, but in the booklet. Six of Water, dreaming. So clearly something needs to be that we dream for ourselves, that we dream for the future, that we dream for each other. Sometimes we have to have mutual dreams. I realize that some dreams overlap and they cannot conflict with each other if you think about people to people. But if you can think about, we all have multiple dreams. I want to be an archaeologist. I want to be a writer. I want to be a blah, 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 blah. We all have multiple dreams. And that artwork is dreams are filled with omens. It's a six of water. The other one is six of fire, passion. So you have dreaming and passion. They're both sixes that came out. And believe me, I shuffled these, baby. So that's interesting. It's called the fire ritual. So dreaming and passion both go together. They're both midway through the cycle. So if you go with that air card that says you have to go through three cycles, this almost says that you've done two. You're going through the third. And then it's manifestation. And if we're lucky, manifestation means healing with ourselves, our countries, our peoples, the hand touching, the earth in general, all of it, right? Right. All right. Be well, my friends. Take care. I know it's been a while, but I'll see you soon. Let's have some peace.